Welcome to Putty and Paint. Does your router bits look like this? I'm annoyed. Let's get after it. Damn, let's do it. After the last video, I had a little bit of scrap wood left over, and so I'm not going to go to the store and buy any materials. This is what I got. So I got a 3/4 inch sheet of plywood, a bunch of strips. Actually, these were literally cut off, so I think I'm going to use the 3 longer ones, and then a 1/4 inch piece of plywood. And it's getting dark, so I better get a move on. We got to get to it. Let's go.
Alright, so we are going to start this project off by cutting down the plywood to make up all 4 sides of the cabinet, which is 2 inches in width. The wood was in rough shape, so I started the first cut at 2 1/8 and then flipped it around and ripped off the 1/8 inch rough edge. After that, I ripped all the rest of the plywood and ended up with 5 pieces to choose from based on their appearance. Now, originally this was going to be just a wham bam thank you man project with screws and glues, so my intentions were to cut the top and bottom 1.5 inches shorter than the sides, so once assembled it would be 23 inches square. But after deciding to cut a rabbet in the back to hold the plywood, I decided to miter the corners to hide that rabbet. So I ended up with an odd dimensions of 21.5 by 23 inches tall. So when mitering your ends, be sure to graze the end of your plywood without taking out the edge to maintain the length of your piece. This is an important step to maintain a square outcome when assembling your project. You don't want one shorter than the other, and I mean unless you're going for character over quality, then by all means have at it.
All right, first assembly time. Outside, outside. Inside, inside small. So I went a little smaller on the inside, thinking I was going to take a different approach to this than I did. And I ended up going with the exact same on both. So, oh well, I don't care. I literally came up with this thought while I was cleaning up the garage from the last video. And I was like, I need something to hold my router boots. This can't wait. It's 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I want to do this real quick. Let me get something on these corners to hold these a little tighter. We want some nice tight corners. Now I'm gonna give it 3. Fuck it. Alright. So at least they gave us 2 nice tight corners.
So here I'm checking for square.
Always grinding, even in the dark. Let's get it.
And because I made this so quickly, I opted not to stress the joints and undercut the plywood 1/16 of an inch all the way around. So like with all my projects, I'm using the crown stapler to attach the back. It's a good way of attaching 1/4 inch plywood, but it's important that you turn down the PSI to about 50 or 60 pounds, otherwise it will shoot right through. Just ask me how I know that.
Ah, you sucker fish. Alright, so I found some stock 2x12 of sugar pine, so I'm going to use this to make the guts of it that hold the bits. I'm going to go ahead and copy what was in my tray originally. That's kind of a unique little cut there. I'm going to try to do it without making a jig. We're going to see how that goes exactly.
So I started by cutting each piece to the final width the same as the plywood, 2 1/8, flip it around, cut off the edge, and then continue on. Alright, so the tray that held the bits in the old container had one common cut, and that was a 90 at the peak, and obviously from there that would be 2 45s, right? So I made the first cut to the center 45 so I would have some support and make for an easier cut, and then out from there. Now even though I held it up to the blade, I goofed on the first cut, but luckily that was into the waist side, so I didn't have to start over. So I readjusted the fence and cut it again, and it landed where I needed it to be.
I can live with that.
Then I moved the fence to make the second cut that finished off the 90 and repeated the process 3 more times for the rest of the wood. So the last step was just a matter of measuring the thickness of the tray and making my mark. Then determining the height to make that final cut, and bam! It was done, just like that.
That is pretty damn close, I'd say. Good enough for government work.
I wanted these snug in the cabinet, so I carefully crept up on the measurement until I got the fit I was looking for, and then repeated the process 3 more times. Now I didn't have enough of the 2x12s to have full-length trays from top to bottom, but what I did have was 4 cut-offs that would work in combination with a shelf for larger bits.
Alright, so we want to measure from there to there. Get us our thickness of the, well, that's actually tighten that. Get the thickness of the plywood that we need to cut to make those little shelvies, and use the last bit of the plywood. What the hell is happening? Boy, that's not okay. 2 1/8.
Again, another messy factory edge that I needed to cut off. I can't stress enough the importance of checking your edges. It can be the difference between your piece sitting flush or off a 1/16 of an inch. Now I had the intentions of skinning the edge of the plywood to give it a cleaner look, but opted out of that simply because we have some big plans coming down the line that will hopefully result in a completely different setup for my shop/garage. And this will have served its temporary purpose as I'm chucking it in the burn pile.
So I made a block of wood. I do not have a drill press currently, which I was about 5 seconds away from going to Harbor Freight and getting one. But I'm going to use the old method of a block of wood here to go in straight. So it needs to go directly in the middle of that. So I'm going to square this off up here. I'm going to make a line right here and right in the center. And that's where my hole will go. And then I will set a depth with some tape on my drill bit so I don't over drill, and hope for the best.
You see, no plans and consistently flying by the seat of my pants. And hey, sometimes it pays off in a pinch.
Alright, here goes everything.
So it's difficult to drill straight on pretty much anything, and to drill straight on a small block of wood, that's pretty much all I'm thinking at the moment. How is this gonna come out?
God dang, Gina, you can't get any straighter than that. Alright, so this is when I jump into time lapse for you guys, so I don't have to bore you with an hour's worth of me drilling holes, but I'm gonna drill one. Kind of an eyeball. There it is. Where's the bits? Where's the bits, boy?
So drilling these holes was incredibly difficult at first. I mean, I drilled like 20 holes and none of them lined up. And then I noticed the 45 cutoffs and tacked them down as stop block to hold against the piece, and that made it a little easier. But in reality, it was about finding my groove, and once I did, it started rolling straight. But then the trouble started again when I had to shift over to the 1/2-inch bit. That was hard. So I just took my time and I had to press against the back of the block, because if I didn't, I would have had a blowout. And unfortunately, I had 3 of those before I realized, but like I said, a temporary setup, right? Now as I'm sanding, I realized just how rough the holes were because of how fast I was going. So I took the bit and I worked each hole to clean them up, which worked out pretty good.
Just a smidge. Like a smidge. Like a little bit more than that. Probably more than that too, I'm sure. Alright, I think I like it.
So the glue up process was a quick one. I didn't spread the glue out or anything because there isn't going to be a tremendous amount of pressure on this. And when I'm all done gluing, I stapled it back to the plywood and bam, it was done.
And there you have it. A little quick project made out of scrap wood, took about 2 hours. Managed to house all of my router bits, and I got a bunch of holes for more. Can't beat that. It's about 23 wide, I believe, and 21 wide, 23 tall. That's me how I came up with that measurement. I had something else in mind and ended up with this, which I'm very happy with. Copied one of the racks for one of the kits I had to give us that same look. So there you go, and can mount it on the wall. Just like that. Anyway, if you liked it and you stuck all the way to the end, man, I appreciate it if you would smash that like button and subscribe for sure. And we'll see you on the next one. Catch you later. Peace. I appreciate you.